You bet, no problem. It's my pleasure. Good morning, or actually good evening for you.
Yeah, it's going on almost 1 a.m. here, and fresh start in the Monday morning, and then my Monday starts in about 5 hours. So, but it's totally worth it. So,
all right.
I wanted to go back into E3 a little bit and elaborate on kind of like a personal thing, not like life personal. It's just work personal question for you. So. The new consoles totally overshadowed E3. Then here comes Ubisoft's presentation, and I'll honestly say everyone was basically mind blown. Like when out of nowhere the Division was, showcased, and I rewound my DVR at least 20 times to watch that presentation. I literally created the Division world literally an hour after that presentation. Like I was literally hooked, just instantly. The question is, how does it feel to be one of the leaders behind basically the biggest game drop at E3 and coming into 2014 as probably one of the most anticipated games of the year?
It's hard to describe, actually. I think now we've had a lot of time for the shock and awe, I guess, to wear off. I can tell you for sure, we didn't expect the reception that we got. I mean, we were extremely happy, of course, and blown away. But I knew it was good, and I knew it was what we wanted to put out there. But the interest and the reaction, like you were just describing, from a lot of people was overwhelming and over the top. And now it's that starts to. You come to terms with that, and now it's about building the game and making sure that you deliver on everything we need to do for what we kind of the promise we made there at E3 with the demo that you saw. So I could say overall just extremely happy. Everyone was tired. We kind of busted our collective butts for that for quite some time, and then to see the reaction of the community and hopefully our future fans for the game was amazing.
Yeah. Did Ubisoft anticipate the same? Like, were you guys did you guys get doubled more developers after this huge craze, or?
Yeah, we have 16 times the amount. No. We definitely will be working with. Right now, the team is the same. We're expanding and adding to the team all the time. But you want to do that at the right times, through the production process. But the team that was here for the E3 summer demo that you saw is still the same team right now. We really haven't added a whole lot of people yet. But I'm sure as we get closer to launch, you'll see that Ubisoft is very big on utilizing their studios and their resources for the big titles when they're coming out towards the end.
Okay, so here's another interesting question. I'm a very random question guy. So let me ask you this. If you were stranded on an island with electricity by chance, of course, one Mountain Dew, Cheetos Puffs, a Lazy Boy, and a copy of The Division, and you had your choice, what console would you want? And PC is included as well. So
you can't do that to me, Mark. You can't do that to me. I'm on the record, of course, I would have a choice, but I'll give you my canned. We're dedicated at making the absolute best product for each one of those consoles and SKUs. But no. I mean, to be honest, right now, since I haven't seen, everyone's just theorizing on specs and what they've read. No one knows anything, and we've got a partnership with Microsoft that we're very happy about. For the game itself, so I can guarantee both consoles are going to be awesome, and the PC version will be awesome as well. So it's a great question, but I can't pick sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you stated. Okay. So I'm kind of picking that answer a little bit. So now you stated that you have kind of a partnership with Microsoft. Is that going to?
Yes.
Is that going to be any? I know there's exclusives for both PS4 and Xbox One. Now, is there going to be any advantages or disadvantages between the two versus, because I know, all these consoles want exclusives so people can buy their consoles for those exclusives, but I didn't know if there's going to be a substantial difference.
No. I mean, there is the details of the deal we have with Microsoft. You know, will be coming out. So we're not talking about the specifics, I would say, but it's not going to be a different game experience than the PS4 or the PC version. Now there may be specialized content and you know, along those lines for Xbox One players, but the game will not be in any way an exclusive for Xbox, or you know, we're coming out on all 3 SKUs, and it's going to be great for all 3 SKUs.
Sweet. Okay, so let's kick this shebang off with some fan questions, because that's why we're here. This is a fan Q&A. So because they're eager to know, you know, whose question gets asked and all that fun stuff. And if somebody, and you know, I want to ahead of time save my butt. If your question is not asked, it's all Ryan's fault. So please punish him and not me. But next time I will promise that. So first question.
They already got mad at me for Reddit. I'll try to answer as in depth as I can, but it's never enough.
Okay, so let's start off with kind of the consoles starts, including PC. So the advantages and disadvantages. Will the Division be released on all platforms at launch?
Yes. So the plan is to have simultaneous launch for all 3 platforms at launch. So that's what we're scheduling for. That's the production schedule. That's what we're shooting for. So that is the plan.
Sweet. User Ubilax asked, will there be split screen capabilities? If so, yes or no? Can you explain the reason why?
Sure. It was something we talked about a lot, I would say, half a year ago, and we really came to the conclusion that it's not a way we want to go with the game. I think for the experience we're going for, we want an immersive online experience where you're playing with friends. Having a split screen just doesn't work for that type of quality experience we want. So it was really just a choice. We want to have each user have their own screen, I guess, if you put it that way. So there is no split screens plans for the game. Okay,
totally understandable. Now, with the advantages and disadvantages from PC players to console players, what is the advantages and disadvantages of PC players to console players when it comes to full UI, HUD customization, higher chance to handle more players in specific zones and areas, and so forth?
Okay, that's a lot of questions, but I think no, that's okay. I think I mean, everyone knows the the new consoles. I mean, they are PCs. The only difference is the input method, which actually is a very big difference for for us as gamers. The difference between using a controller and a keyboard and mouse is pretty huge. So that's why you can't really just port. You can't make the game for Xbox and for PS4 and then just kind of port it to PC. You have to start from kind of the ground up for the 3 Cs, camera controls and character, and figure out how that works with keyboard and mouse, because being a big PC gamer myself over the years, you expect a lot more different responses. You don't need an aim assist as much. How does it work with your inputs on the keyboard? So that's the major difference. The game itself will be the same experience. It's just about kind of tuning it and developing it for the input method that you'll be using.
Okay, you answered like 2 questions I had in there, so that's pretty good. Okay. With the porting, excellent. With the porting, it was pretty much the next question was a lot of people are wondering if PC version is just going to be a port, and but you elaborated perfectly, so that was awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So now we'll get into the game. So now the Division was basically coming off as a type of a survival game. So Everlyn is asking, when it comes to collecting supplies, water, food, etc., the power of survival, how much of a factor will that be within the game?
It's a good question. I'm just trying to figure out how to answer this so I give you a good answer that doesn't give away too much. I mean, everyone, well, not everyone. I would expect a lot of people that had interest in the Division possibly have been exposed to DayZ, for instance, or there's a myriad of other survival games that are very punishing with a lot of their mechanics for, let's say, food and water. You know, a lot of these games, if you don't collect things, you will just straight up die eventually. The Division is a mainstream game. We want a lot of people to be interested in this game. We want to bring in people that are, you know, Call of Duty and Battlefield or Tom Clancy, old Tom Clancy fans. We also want RPG fans to play the game, people that just like online games. So you have a wide spectrum of people that you want to hit. And I think that very punishing, without giving you the specifics, but very punishing mechanics like that aren't good. They're not good for it's very good for a small audience that loves that kind of I would say self-punishment, if you want, which I also like as well as a gamer. But I realized we want to have those elements in the game, the elements of survival, the elements of using everything you find out in New York and the world, but we want it to be a positive always. So it'll be something that is good for you when you find them, but you don't need them or you will die, I guess, is a way I can answer that without going into specifics.
That's fine.
Cool.
The next question, which was one of mine actually, and you don't need to go too detailed in it because it is kind of a detailed question, but you know, just the basics would be fine. What is the plan of direction for the Division when it comes to adventuring in New York City? Do you want the adventurer, aka player, to experience, say, hundreds of players spread out around New York City that the player can pass by once in that area, or mainly experience this when they are back at the base?
Well, this was another kind of choice, like the split screen question for us. Obviously, with games, I think most games in this genre moving forward, you know, the players, the communities want a big open world. They want exploration to be a big part of their games. They want to feel like they're not led around in these games and they can kind of choose their own path, and we're hitting all of that. The big choice for us was, do we do a persistent social open game space, or do we you know, or do we phase or instance it so it's tailored for the group? And I personally, I mean, I've been in the industry quite a while now. I've been playing online games since, you know, pretty exclusively since around, you know, I don't even want to say, but let's say back with EverQuest in '99, these types of games. And I think back then it was amazing to see people, you know, when you were just running around doing something and, oh my God, that's another player, and wow. And I think that the thrill of that has more than worn off for players. And now it's generally more of an annoyance when someone is there that isn't one of your friends or part of your group in an area where you're trying to, you know, do content, do missions, do, you know, whatever. So we chose to keep it more tailored and personalized for the open world space. But then there are areas which we call social, where you can see up to, you know, hundreds of players, and that can be the PvP areas as well as the kind of secured areas out in Manhattan. So we'll have both. But when you're out doing your content or you know, basically exploring Manhattan, you're not going to see random, you know, Legolas 1111 run past you and interfere with what you're doing.
Okay, so you dropped a lot of bombs in there that I would love to nitpick, but you know, of course, you got. I mean, if I keep you here, then the game will never get made. So.
Yes.
So
I'm trying to give you some stuff that people can read into and dissect. So,
that's a whole article in itself that I will be publishing here in the next couple weeks. But we'll just move on to the next one. So when it comes to, and this one is actually a quick question too. Will each area of New York City be a skill level specific area? If saying beginning is, you know, the beginning where zone starting is, you know, easier to kill mobs, but if I want to go to this street because I recognize, you know, I grew up there, you know, will the mobs be harder or tankier? And on top of that, you know, are there world bosses as well? So you don't need to answer. I'm sure that's a name drop. World bosses, I'm sure you're not technically supposed to answer yet, but if you are to, that'd be awesome.
No, yeah, I know. I'll try to at least address the question because there's a lot of specifics in there, and we want. I mean, the thing is, I can give you a little personal philosophy on why I think it's important for Mark for games. What I think has been lost a little bit for community and online games is a little bit of the mystery and a little bit of the players needing to rely on each other. And a big part of what we want to do with the Division is to help create community again. So, I'm not going to name names, but there are very successful online games right now that, in my opinion, because of the way that they cater to their fan base, which is great, it makes it so that players don't need each other. It's more annoying when they try to talk to you or whatever, and so you get a very aggressive, negative community for those games. And so I don't want to be evasive through the launch, and I will answer this question, but if players and our fans are wondering why we don't answer these questions more specifically, it's because I want you to find out when you play, and I want you to discover those kind of things. And if you just read interviews with me or other people from the team and you know exactly what to do, then that is spoiled for you, in my opinion. And and it's really important for the game for when we launch, I think. But to answer your question, we do have progression. We do have progression throughout the game. New York itself will be, there will be areas where you'll experience the difficulty increase. But if you can think of an open world game, there's many of them, you're running back through a lot of the same areas, as you're coming here or you're finishing your a quest chain, let's say, in a different game. And so you want to give players reason to come back to all of the areas of Manhattan from all level ranges. So it won't be a flat like, oh, hey, all of the content in this area, the E3 area of Brooklyn, is this type of experience or level. We don't want that. I want players to really experience the full breadth of content throughout the whole area. So it's a mix of both, to answer that question. But details-wise, we can't. I don't want to go into those yet because I want players to find that out kind of when the
Yeah, I saw your interview on. It was pretty much a whole interview on why you want players to discover things, and it was a great interview, and I encourage everybody to go watch that interview. It was very, very, very great. The next questions actually I could combine into one actually. User Fez Monster and user Atheist pretty much are asking about customization options and when it comes to clothes and weapons.
Okay, they're just wondering what will be available. The customization, I think, in these types of games is huge. First of all, it's your first kind of attachment to your character when you are, your Division agent when you start the game. How much can you personalize it with your clothing, with your look, the sex of your avatar, if you will. All will be there. You'll have choices that affect your starting equipment in the game. The one thing that I know I've said in other interviews, but we want to make sure that you can't make a bad choice. There's a lot of these RPGs where you don't know, again, we're not going to say a ton about the game, which is good, in my opinion, before we launch. So there's some mystery. So asking our players to then make a huge choice at the beginning of the game would be kind of silly when they don't know how they want to do the game. So there'll be choices you can make for your character all through customization that affect, let's say, your some of your equipment, but there is no bad choice. You won't have to re-roll because I chose X or Y at the start. That's not what we want to go for. So, but customization, I think, is huge. And also, it's a big part of RPGs in general. It's a big carrot. I want my guy to eventually look super cool. I want to have extremely good equipment. I want to be able to personalize that equipment, and it's all part of that kind of I don't know, fantasy, for this type of game.
It's funny too because I never really noticed until I start meeting some people, because like some of my Facebook friends, it's like they're posting pictures of their characters. It's like, this is my character, this is what she's wearing, and he's wearing whatever, and it's like, it's kind of like cosplay within the game, and it's like, it's a big deal to a lot of people, especially even it doesn't matter PvE or PvP. It's like people love to stand out.
Yeah, and I think we have a great opportunity with the setting, being near future and more realistic of a game, let's say, than a standard RPG with fantasy, mages and warriors and such. So we really can play around with how we want to do customization, where people are more close to real life type stuff. So I'm sure, yeah, I've been shown a lot of that cosplay stuff, and the fan interest already for sites and different things that people are doing is amazing. When it's off of basically one demo, they haven't seen a whole lot yet. So it's pretty great.
Okay, so I don't know how detail you can go into this because it's literally been hush-hush the whole time, but will crafting be intense as MMOs, where you have to go out and farm mats for what you need, trade mats with other players, auction house, etc., etc.?
Yeah, the crafting, I can't go into detail on it, but it does exist. It is important to the game. I think it fits great into the kind of the world we're the immersive world we want to create. So, in this type of situation, coming across things and saving everything you come across is important. Trying to create new things out of what you have is important. And as a philosophy that we have, or for the team, is I think crafting is one of those things that there are a small part of the population in these types of games that want to get really into it. Like that's what they look for in these games. So you want to have the depth for those types of players, but the vast majority of people, I believe, want to have access to it. They want it to be interesting and fun and useful, but they don't need to spend hours and hours on crafting such item. So we have we're trying to serve two kind of masters in that. So the way we want our crafting to be is we want it to be very important, very approachable, and then if you really want to get crazy with it, that opportunity will be there for you as well. But the main thing is it is important for the game. It is important for also, saving and kind of tracking things you come across and find out in New York.
Nice. When so you're labeling the game as an RPG. Now this question's by Dig Douglet. Will there be choices that could impact how the story of the game goes, as in kind of like how BioWare does it, where you choose the answer and it could impact you later on and so forth?
Yes. This one I can't really touch. I think the story is going to be the story is going to be very important. What I can say, talk about what I like about open world stories is something that's smart. I think we have a very current concept for our world and a very scary concept for our world, for what's happening. So the story needs to be, the narrative needs to be just as smart, and and that's how we're approaching it. But we want a story where it's not linear, I guess is the best way. It's really hard to do a story arc in a game where you want to allow players and encourage players to go in all kinds of different directions. Specific wise, I can pretty much guarantee we will never be talking about the story, because I think it's a huge part of the experience for you when you discover that for the first time, and it's a big spoiler if you do. But I can tell you that we know it's very important. We're working a lot on making sure that it's for me good enough and makes sense to the world that we're creating, and that works in a game world where you can potentially go in a lot of different directions.
Okay, that's a lot.
Right.
Okay, so about 2 or 3 more questions here.
Okay.
The last one regards to expansions. Micro's asking, will there be more cities to explore, or will expansions be more or less more content within New York City itself?
Doesn't he want the first game first?
Well, I mean, I guess it's more or less a question on like, you know, like longevity, like, you know, is Endgame.
Sure.
Because, you know, there's all these, you know, literally, you know, we won't say names, but, you know, some games just fail at Endgame and then it's just, you know, move on, you know, but they need these, so it's kind of like that. But I'm thinking that's what the question really means, so.
Okay, yeah, I can say that we are building the Division as it's a new franchise for Ubisoft, so we want to build upon it from this first game. I can't say that you know, about locations or whatever. He's asking for different, you know, cities. So, but I can say that we do want to build on this game with future content for what we come out with. And I can also say that we are very, very mindful of keeping players, of having enough content and things to do once you've reached, you know, kind of the end of your leveling chain and the end of the narrative. For instance, what do I do in the game now? Now that I've kind of finished the content that you had, and you know, yeah, not to name names, I would say that this is someplace that a lot of these type of online RPGs don't do so well. And we really need to make sure that we spend enough time in development and focus on those areas. And we are.
That'd be awesome, because, I mean, every single developer, you know, could talk the talk. No offense to you guys. You know, I have, you know, tons of faith in you guys. But, you know, and you know, Ubisoft is just such a great company, and they don't buy other companies like Massive if they don't, you know. So I believe in you guys 110%. So.
Well, thank you.
And I'm sure everybody else, pretty much, especially at the Division world, definitely believes in you guys, and you know that's why we're here to, you know, help spread the word and just make it just that much better. So I don't know if you can hear them or not, but if you listen very carefully, I hear a lot of fans yelling, "Ask about PvP!" But I know you're not allowed to discuss anything yet because that's down the road. But please, don't keep us waiting long on hearing. So the final fan question in regards to PvE and PvP, Tomcat62 asks, and this is actually I have another question on top of this, which is technically out there, so it's not like it's going to be a bomb or anything, but it's a conspiracy question. How about that? But anyway, so back to Tomcat62's question. With the users who don't PvP, will they be able to experience the game completely without having to go into Dark Zones to complete anything?
That's a really good question. It touches on the kind of the solo player versus multiplayer question as well in my mind. And the answer to both of those is absolutely. He will be able to experience the full content of the game, find out the story, level all the way to max level, and never have to step foot into PvP. I think it's important that we design and kind of structure the game that way. Now what we are doing is extremely incentivizing the reasons for, what was his name? Tom447 or?
No, Tomcat62.
So Tomcat62, hopefully you will get teased and really kind of want to check out what's happening in the Dark Zones, and you really will come to find that you like that type of gameplay. And it's more of that approach. We will never require anyone to shoot or potentially be shot by another player to fully experience the let's say PVE content of the Division.
Right. So so this leads to my question. I actually just made this question up tonight when I was watching the E3 presentation. Now, you don't have to elaborate on PvP much with this question, but from what I picked up on the map in the video at the end, the Dark Zone areas are, as I guess you could say, blocking access to other parts of the city. And since we don't know much on transportation yet within the game, would accessing other parts of New York City kind of require you to walk through Dark Zones?
Well, I mean, the map that we have won't be released, I would say, for quite some time. But just if you kind of think about my last question, Mark, the if we required people to go through areas to reach through a PvP area to reach another area that we were asking them to go to for whatever reason, that would be almost like we were requiring them to PvP.
Well,
in my mind.
Here's how I kind of dissecting your last answer was when you're saying kind of like when I'm thinking how it's dark zones are basically areas that are, when they cross into this, the game recognizes it and it opens up into more of a instance base with other players inside there, and then when they leave it, they kind of like drop out, all with non-loading. So that's how I'm seeing it, and then that's how I'm seeing it. If they fire upon somebody else, then they technically might have activated PvP. But then, of course, this is all assumptions. This is all just based on fans like us who are just trying to figure stuff out, you know, without knowing.
Exactly.
Yes. But that's how I'm basing it.
You guys gotta be patient. It's gonna be good. Trust me. It goes to my philosophy on everything. If you know exactly how it works before the game comes out, I think it's less fun. So I know we have a lot of very, very experienced and smart fans and smart gamers, so it's not like it's a complete mystery how it's going to work. I will put it that way. But the details of it, you know, I think we're going to hold on to for as long as we can, because we want it to be fresh and we want it to be a big new thing for the players in the division. So I guess just to circle back to your question is that I don't think it would be fair or smart to require people to PvP to access a certain other type of content that they want to do if it's required for the game. Now, if it were something that were optional, that was exploration or something else I was trying to potentially investigate, then absolutely, those could be in very, very dangerous areas. But if it's something for the mainstream, you know, path, if you will, we can't force players through PvP, because I think that would be then holding their hand and forcing them into a game experience that we chose, which is not what we're about with the division.
Now, basically I was elaborating from, you know, Nicholas' his interview when he was stating that in the interview at E3 about and this isn't really a question, I guess, but you know, he was stating that
okay.
PVE is within the dark zones, and he blatantly said, you know, you could do PVE missions within the dark zones. And then if you look at, I know this map isn't final, of course, at the end of the video, but the police station was within a dark zone, and so I'm just thinking, you know, that's, you know, there's these PVE missions that are kind of like, you know, who gets there first, and then who can capture and all that other stuff. So.
Is that the interview when I was diving across his body to try to stop him from speaking?
It was the one with Adam Sessler. And
I think that if that content is out there and you guys are smart and as incessant as you are, I'm not going to elaborate, because you know, I want to keep that for as long as possible. But I know that there's been comments by this person and that person. Plus, you know, you guys have to keep in mind, we're still in development, and you know, the things exactly. So it's an iterative process, and we play every single day. We have a huge play test twice a week, and if it comes to be where we need to make changes as we get closer and more things are in the game, then we'll make changes, because it's all about the end experience. So even you know, Nicholas or me saying things now doesn't even necessarily mean they will be so at these times.
But it is what we have to go off of as of right now.
Exactly.
But speaking of that, you know, if you need another person to play test, you know, I'm always available. So I might be 80,000 miles away, but you know.
Yeah, I think we're good on requests, but I think you know, it's not going to be too long until we start getting people in to play the game. So you know, we're working hard, guys. We're trying to get it out as soon as possible, but the thing is it's got to be right, and it's got to be fun. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed, we'll be disappointed, and there's no point in that. All
right, so before I let you go, Ryan, I want to thank the fans for submitting their questions, and if your question wasn't asked, remember, it's all his fault.
It's my fault, guys. As usual.
Yes, so I submitted a bunch of questions. He got back to me with the ones that I was able to ask, but later down the road, assuming pretty much next year around E3 time, we'll probably have another fan questionnaire, and hopefully we'll be able to get more details. And so coming off this interview, I hope you all gathered a lot more intel when I hold the next TDW fan Q&A with the massive team. Your questions, I really want your questions to push the limits for what we need to know about the game, of course. If you don't want to know, then, you know, first of all, you should have never been watching this video in the first place, and if so, you can be completely secret and just be mind blown, but it doesn't even matter. Even if I knew everything, I'd still be mind blown. I'd play the game. So, thanks again, Ryan. It was a pleasure to be here today. Video interviews are always a million times more awesome and entertaining. Everyone at the Division World thanks you for your time and is eagerly awaiting the release of Tom Clancy's The Division.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for everyone's interest, and we really appreciate these types of sites, and you guys in particular as well. And I hope I gave you a little more to go on, and it's early here in the morning, so I apologize for you know, my babbling if that occurred.